I think we can go ahead and get started. So hi everybody, and welcome to this edition of our Publisher webinar series. Today we are featuring Wickfire. My name is Shana Cavuto, and I'm the manager of the Customer and Publisher Care team here at Pepperjam. And I am joined by Katie Atlas and Katie Carmichael of Wickfire. So before I hand the reins over to Katie to present, I just want to let you guys know that we will be recording a copy of this webinar, and everybody will receive a follow-up afterward. And if you can all just please hold your questions until the end, we'll answer everything at the end of the presentation, and just simply type your questions into the questions box that you see available. So with that said, I'm going to hand the reins over to Katie to take it from here.
Great, thank you. This is Katie Atlas. I'm Wickfire's Chief Strategy Officer. Among other things at Wickfire, I run our business development group, which means that I have the pleasure of getting to know some of you guys already, and hopefully I'll get to know more of you guys kind of in the coming months and years. I just wanted to sort of use today's opportunity to speak to you, to go over sort of some of the basics about Wickfire, just sort of from 10,000 feet. And also intro you guys to some new stuff that we're working on in terms of being able to sort of further expand what we can offer to the advertisers that we work with. Assuming that everyone can hear me and see my screen, I'll get started. Okay, so this is sort of just some basic information on Wickfire. And some of you guys hopefully are working with us now. Some of you guys might have worked with us in the past. In general, one sort of, I think, sort of, if you guys haven't worked with us recently, we're probably a little bit bigger than you might remember us. We've grown really quickly over the last couple of years. We work with about 2,300 online partners. This is actually a stat from last year that we were nominated for the best performing performance marketing technology from the International Performance Marketing Awards. This year we were actually nominated and a finalist for Best Automation and AI, which was a really exciting category for us to be recognized in, given that that's sort of the backbone of our company. We generated last year $65 million in sales for our clients, and we are at about $213 million in all-time referred sales. So we are hopefully growing at a rate that is commensurate with our performance. We're really, really focused on doing the best job that we can for the advertisers that we work with, and also, being able to sort of expand our footprint and work with more and more great e-commerce companies as we grow. So how do we do it? How do we generate all these sales for our clients? We primarily do it through paid search. Probably many of you guys are already familiar with paid search, but just in case some of you aren't, I thought I would start with a brief intro on what is paid search. Paid search is basically advertising in the sponsored listings of a search engine. So it's a way to buy visits to your site rather than hoping for traffic through Google's organic listings. And this is actually a statistic that both interested and actually sort of surprised me when I first started working for Wickfire. Over 60% of Google's user clicks go through paid ads. So that is, that's actually a lot more than I would have even expected. It means basically almost 2/3 of Google searches can be steered through paid ads if you guys have ads running. I'm giving you an example of, sort of what these paid ads look like. Probably you guys are all familiar with them. Every once in a while we have someone who says, I didn't know there were ads on Google. In fact, there are lots of ads on Google, and they're a really sort of important part of what Google offers to advertisers that want to work with them. So this is actually an interesting slide. This is a slide from a joint presentation that we did with Google at Affiliate Summit East about 1.5 years ago. And Google actually did a study where they looked at where people's eyes are focused on their search engine results page. This is an old version of the page, so if you guys are familiar with, with kind of Google now, it looks a little bit differently. But that being said, kind of the results are the same. Basically, there's a strong focus on the AdWords results above the fold. There's nearly no focus on the organic results below the fold. 95% of users won't go beyond the first page after they run a search. I think probably no one's surprised by that. I think we all probably fall into that 95%. And about 71% of visitors look at the top 3 AdWords ads and then either make a choice and click on something or move on. You have about 2.5 seconds to capture their attention, hopefully using those top sponsored results. Sometimes we'll get the question from clients, well, why do I need a paid ad if I'm already in the top position organically? And in fact, there have actually been a lot of studies on this. Branded ads and organic listings can work together, and in fact can substantially increase incremental clicks, even if you're in the top spot organically. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what happens if you're not in the top spot organically. But even if you're talking about just sort of an ad above what is otherwise a really excellent organic search result, there's still a substantial incremental boost from running a paid search ad. Again, I think you guys are probably familiar with this, but again, based on the affiliate model, our fees are entirely based on our performance. You guys won't pay anything unless we generate sales. That sort of, we think, aligns everyone's incentives for us to be able to, do the best with our ads and make sure that we're generating kind of the maximum number of sales for you guys, because that's obviously how we get paid too. So kind of going through a little bit, that's paid search generally, but how specifically do we work with clients? And that's 3 different ways. The first way, and this is kind of, this was where our business started, and it's still a really substantial part of our business, and in fact growing quarter over quarter and year over year in a really exciting way for us, is direct search. And that's kind of, I would say, the most traditional product that we offer. We sort of consider ourselves to be a cost-effective alternative to hiring an in-house SEM team. This is basically us running ads that direct to an individual advertiser's website. So not with any of our pages in between as a landing page. This is us just kind of doing our bread and butter, which is search advertising. A lot of the time we'll focus, at least initially, on the brand name just to sort of see how much volume there is potentially around that term. We'll also, if kind of the client relationship justifies it, expand to product names and potentially to sort of non-branded generic queries. I say all major search engines. We're basically talking about Google, Bing, and Yahoo. Sometimes I get questions about native, sort of to Boolean outbrain. We experiment a little bit with those, but really what we're talking about here are Google and Bing primarily. The next one, the next kind of place that we've delivered a lot of value for our clients, and what you'll probably hear me focusing on a good bit in this presentation, is Highlight Reviews, which is our review and comparison site. There we've tried to really kind of take a step back and capture early consumer interest traffic. So not just necessarily a consumer that's interested in a brand already, but really kind of taking them sort of earlier in the funnel when they're interested in a potential purchase but they haven't actually committed to a certain brand yet, and trying to steer that user towards the advertisers that we work with. The other sort of side of Highlight Reviews that I'll talk about a bit, because we have some sort of interesting new products here, is on kind of brand reputation, sort of taking control of what that search engine results page looks like. So branded search terms, but ones that focus on review or comparison or versus or legit, covering those terms with kind of a customized landing experience that that's both sort of favorable to the merchant and that is geared towards making that user potentially convert into an actual paid user. Which it's funny, but it works. You have someone that's searching for X advertiser complaints, and you can actually steer that person into buying your product. That isn't a lost customer, and I think people often think that is just because of sort of where that search is coming from. We've sort of seen time again that actually can be sort of a small but useful demographic to appeal to. The last channel that I'm going to discuss today is the Coupon Co. And this is, in some ways, it's really kind of the backbone of our business. If there are people on the line who are working with us now, there's a pretty good chance that you're working with us through the Coupon Co. This has been sort of the most expansive product offering that we've ever really provided for advertisers. We drive conversions for deal-sensitive shoppers, so people that, unlike sort of Highlight Reviews and direct search, are probably a little bit more committed to making a purchase, but they're looking to make sure that they get the best price. So we're talking about someone who is, who's sort of done their research and, is likely pretty close to converting, but isn't all the way there yet because they're worried about the price. And so we focus on kind of taking those users that are looking for coupon and discount queries and giving them a good enough deal that then they'll sort of follow through and become an actual purchaser. So heading back to highlight reviews again, and this is, you guys will hear about this a lot because we're really, really excited about it. It's our fastest growing web property. It was actually launched in sort of late 2014, early 2015. It took us about a year to kind of really sort of get our footing here, which I would say is probably pretty typical for a new product cycle. But by the second quarter of 2016, we were at about 5,000 page views, which at the time was really exciting news for highlight reviews. It has really exploded since then. So year over year, we went up to almost 300,000 page views, and this past second quarter, we were a little bit over 500,000 page views. So highlight reviews is kind of exploding in a way that we're really, really, really excited about. Again, I talked about this. We're reaching consumers higher in the purchase funnel by targeting these research and review keywords. We're also, through highlight reviews, providing blog posts and custom content as kind of additional value adds. I do want to just kind of clarify that for the most part, we're talking about, about steering users through search. That being said, highlight reviews does get some organic traffic, and so it's not completely off the table when you're working with us there too. We also just did a really exciting redesign of our website, which I actually really encourage you guys to not just look at the screenshot, but to actually go to highlightreviews.com. Because I think the site itself is really beautiful. We are at about 35 product and service categories across the categories that you can see here. We've got technology, fashion, beauty, food, home. Kids is actually money. I think this is an old screenshot, which is kind of financial products, gifts, and health. And then we're launching about 2 to 3 verticals per quarter. Recently, we've launched medical alerts, credit repair, and we were just about to dive into mortgage, which is kind of a huge area that we're biting off that we're excited about. Again, we talked about these early consumer interests and brand reputation terms that we target through our paid search campaigns. This kind of gives you sort of a basic overview of the consumer path for highlight reviews. We're talking about someone at the moment who's looking for a sort of generic search query, not branded in any way. We're looking for someone who's looking for bed-in-a-box reviews. Clicking on the ad to highlightreviews.com takes the reader to our stacked review page, our comparison page for mattresses. These pages are really well optimized to convert those early consumer interest searches into sales. Our goal is never to get someone spending a lot of time on highlight reviews consuming all of our content. What we want is to give the user just enough information that they can read it, process it, digest it, choose the best option for them, and then move straight on to our partner sites. This is, I think you guys are all probably familiar with kind of the phrase information overload and the way that people make decisions on the web these days. Unfortunately, kind of more information can sometimes lead to, to worse decision making and at the very least to stalled decision making. What we're trying to do here is highlight the value props for our clients in a way that, that gets people sort of moving through the decision making process sort of as quickly as possible. And then the other thing that I wanted to discuss for highlight reviews that's also super exciting is we're just starting to test out this new product lander. So going back just one slide to this mattress review page, what you guys are going to notice here is that if we're working with Satva or Nectar or Puffy, that's not a page that's exclusive to any one merchant. The way that we have found that this, that this type of query can be optimized best is by giving users choices between a couple of different merchants. That being said, if for some reason, there aren't a ton of competitors or the advertiser isn't comfortable with being listed on a page alongside their competitors, we also have a new alternative to our sort of default comparison page. It's a single merchant landing page that compares the products that a single merchant offers. So this is one that we did for Satva that we're really excited about. I sort of both love the way that this looks as kind of the user experience, and also we think it is potentially going to have really, really good results for advertisers that don't want to be placed alongside their competitors. And, we're always very, very willing to test out what works. I think A/B testing is, of course, one of our most frequently used words. We're still just kind of in the very early stages of previewing this, so I can't even really say whether or not this works better than the last one for any other individual campaign. But if you guys think that this is a good fit for you or for an advertiser that you work with or manage, definitely kind of be in touch with us. We're looking to test this out sort of across the board, particularly as we get into Q4. Okay, and why is this early consumer interest traffic so important? Well, it's important because this is the place where consumers aren't brand committed yet. 90% of consumers read fewer than 10 online reviews before making a purchasing decision, and they can actually be steered, much more so at this stage than later on in the purchase funnel. And in fact, up to 54% of consumers will actually visit a website after reading positive reviews about the brand, which means that sort of regardless of what brand they were thinking about at the beginning, you can take about half the people that read a positive review and hopefully they're going to visit your website, which is kind of, I think, about one of the most exciting things about highlight reviews. Both because, you know, there's always sort of the additional value add of conversion enhancement, but also because we're really sort of steering in a way that that I think is very difficult to accomplish. It's part of why highlight reviews took such a long time to sort of get off the ground because it is just a much more challenging project to bite off. But it's also why we've been so successful kind of over the last couple of years. Okay, and now I'd like to talk a little bit about the Coupon Co, which, as I mentioned, is kind of a great place also to sort of start if you're thinking about working with us and you're not already working with us. The Coupon Co is kind of, I would say, it, you know, again, it's sort of the backbone of our business. Highlight Reviews is now gaining on it, but it's at about 500,000 page views, and that's been consistent across a good bit of time. So we're talking about kind of a very substantial readership and really kind of a lot of traffic that we can generate for the advertisers that we work with on the Coupon Co. What we often say is, you know, kind of that's a good vetting process for us to figure out if an advertiser is going to be, you know, kind of a really sort of solid and substantial partnership. We can often sort of tell based on our coupon campaigns. Key demographics. We've got about a little over half of our users are between 18 and 44. They're again a little bit over half female. They are primarily North American. We're actually, and I'll talk about this a little bit at the end of the presentation, we're looking to expand internationally quite a bit over the last couple quarters of, or over the last, I guess, 2 quarters of this year and into 2019. And the device breakdown is about 60% desktop and about 40% mobile and target. That mobile and tablet number keeps on sort of creeping up. So we're constantly looking at ways to optimize our search campaigns for the mobile experience, which we rolled out a mobile redesign fairly recently, and we're continuing to, you know, to upgrade sort of everything that we do to make TCC more usable and more user-friendly on mobile. The Coupon Co, again, we're really focused on closing sales. We're increasing average order value and reducing shopping cart abandonment. So we're, again, kind of taking users that are probably already interested in making a purchase, but that see price as being kind of a major issue before hitting that checkout button. And we're trying to give them a good enough deal that they will then, you know, at least feel like they've done their research and are comfortable making a purchase, or hopefully get a discount that makes them even more excited, or perhaps even add something else to their shopping cart to get the discount, which is always a great result for both us and the clients. We cover, again, kind of brand plus coupon terms on Google, Bing, and Yahoo. And then we have additional exposure through site placements, kind of coverage on the homepage and on category pages that you guys saw in the last slide. Katie's actually been taking the lead in building out a social media presence for the Coupon Co, which we're really excited about. And we also have email blasts running, so deal alerts. So if you have a great deal and you want it blasted out to all the people that have subscribed to the Coupon Co based on, you know, on your specific merchant page, we can do that. We're sort of always looking to expand what we can offer and, you know, how we can add value for our users and our advertisers through the Coupon Co, and those have been sort of some of our biggest and most successful additions in the last year. And then direct search, circling back to where we were at the beginning. Again, we're talking about about 2/3 of Google's users go through paid ads. And then we talked a little bit about advertising providing this incremental lift. This is clicks that you would not see if there wasn't a sponsored result, even if you have the top organic result. And then I mentioned that I was going to circle back and talk about what happens if you don't have the top organic result. And this is actually a statistic that you should all pay really close attention to, because it's both really important to anyone that's doing kind of online advertising and, again, kind of a little shocking and surprising. If you don't have an ad present, a competitor advertising on your brand name will receive about 40% of clicks for that search. So that means you're IBM and you have the top organic result. Everything's looking so good on your search results page. And if Dell runs an ad right above you in the paid ads and they run it on IBM, your brand name, that user is going to go to Dell 40% of the time. And that's someone that is already interested in your brand, is looking for your brand, and they can still be steered away from your brand very easily by a competitor advertising if you're not. This is one of the key reasons that it's super important to just be very, very conscious of what's happening for your brand in the search results and making sure that you're taking an active role in sort of occupying that space yourself, or else your competitors have the opportunity to. Again, we talked about this, but we're sort of a cost-effective alternative to an in-house search marketing team. We actually just hired a new channel manager for our direct channel just in the last couple months. So we are ramping this up substantially and looking forward to an awesome Q4 there. Okay, so those are our channels and kind of generally a little bit about paid search. But one thing you might be asking is what sets Wickfire apart from some of our competitors? This is a fair question, and one that I'm always really excited to answer because quite a bit, in fact. So one huge thing that we have put basically just a ton of time and effort into is our automation and optimization technology. And again, this is how we were nominated for Best Automation in AI by the IPMA in the IPMA Awards this year. It was based on kind of our platform reporting system. So we run everything basically out of our centralized platform, which sucks in all of the information that we have access to through Google, Bing, all of the affiliate networks, including Pepperjam, and any in-house, any in-house advertisers that we're working with, kind of in a, in a non-network way, and then will let us change campaigns, update campaigns, add new keywords, reach out to advertisers, identify potential issues, look at if something's going offline, look at if something isn't showing up and we're getting 0 impressions on a certain keyword that used to perform really well. We look at all of that in a centralized place, which lets us do it both very quickly and also in a really sort of pre-digested way. We can sort of tell our system what we need to look at on a day-to-day basis and then review it, which is part of how we are able to work with so many advertisers and manage such huge budgets, but with a relatively small staff still. It's because we really kind of focus on automation and making sure that we have the tools that we need to do a great job, more so than just kind of, large headcounts and, and kind of tackling things that way. It's let us scale more easily. And I think it lets us really just kind of see very, very clearly what's happening in search campaigns in a way that that I think really none of our competitors at least can possibly claim the same way that we can. We're also super focused and have been for for several years now on mobile engagement. That was one of the sort of first things that we tackled as a place that we wanted to stand out and really shine. We employ mobile responsive website design on all of our key web properties, TCC and highlight reviews. We also look at our campaigns, obviously mobile traffic and desktop traffic separately so that we can optimize for both. Mobile, I'm sure you guys have all noticed, is sort of taking off in a way that looks both exciting and I would say sort of irreversible. So we've been really, really focused on sort of doing everything that we can to make sure that we're capturing user interest as it moves from desktop to mobile. Obviously, kind of the last thing is scalable growth, and that sounds like a little bit of kind of a mushy thing to say, but it's actually I think one of the most important things that that I could sort of tell you about our company. We've been successful in a lot of different channels, but I think one of the sort of things that really sets us apart is that we don't stop. Once we're successful, we keep exploring new spaces and keep trying to develop sort of new and better products. Our development team is obviously constantly optimizing and building new products. We have, in addition to the 3 channels that I've talked about today, we have 3 kind of experimental channels that we've been working on this year. That's Facebook, lead generation, kind of a sort of a little bit similar to what we saw with the single merchant lender, but a product-specific search strategy that we're still building out. We are a little bit, I think, we often get really, really excited about the new stuff that we're working on, and so everyone's interest is always there, and it keeps us really, I think, sort of creative and nimble and investing in spaces that are growing within the business. Our status as a Google Premier Partner is obviously incredibly important. It allows us early access and beta testing of new Google products, which is key to some of our success. We also, again, really rely heavily on technology. We use cutting-edge automated workflows. We sort of build everything into our own proprietary technology where we can control it and sort of customize it the way that we want. We're sort of working on a really big technology infusion now where we're trying to get sort of really everyone within the company really proficient at whatever technologies are important for them, from teaching kind of our entry-level channel managers to write their own reports and to code for themselves, as well as kind of building in a lot of customization options for our sites that we can do on the user side without waiting for development, which is really, really exciting. All of this together allows us to perform better, more efficiently, and I would also kind of add, again, more nimbly than competitors with bigger teams and bigger budgets. I think that our smaller size is actually a huge, huge value add, just because we're able to sort of offer comparable services used by leveraging technology. And then last but not least, we're willing to experiment to find out what works. I talked a little bit about that year that it took to get highlight reviews kind of up and running. That was a year where we bought about 1 million clicks from Google and Bing, really before there was scale to speak of on highlight reviews. We did it because we believed that that was kind of the way forward in this business, and we knew that that we could make it work, that we had sort of the technology and the right people to eventually be successful there, and we were right. We're sort of trying to do the same thing now, basically across these new channels. We're in the thick of it right now, but I expect that probably when I'm making this presentation next year, we're going to have a really exciting fourth or fifth kind of addition to the Wickfire portfolio that I can tell you guys about. So what's up next? New verticals on highlight reviews. I mentioned we're kind of about to break into mortgage, and we're really excited about that. We also have just recently launched credit repair and medical alerts, so we're getting those kind of up and running. Scalable lead generation is one of those new channels that we talked about, and in fact, kind of product and Facebook are really kind of alongside that. The other place that we're expanding a lot is internationally. We are looking at primarily for the Coupon Co. targeting campaigns in France, Germany, and potentially Japan over the course of this year. We're really, really excited about potentially being able to bite off a little bit more of that international market. We've already been very successful, obviously, in the U.S., but also in the U.K. and Australia and kind of a number of English-speaking markets. But we think that, we think that there's really no reason that we shouldn't expand further than that. So we're thinking a lot about our international presence for the Coupon Co. Beyond just those English-speaking markets. So we're really excited for 2018 and hopefully 2019 too. I know 2018 is half over, which is kind of crazy. But hopefully this has given you guys sort of a basic overview of what we can offer. And thanks again for letting me speak.
Thanks so much, Katie. I think that was super helpful. I know I learned a lot about Wickfire. I think we can open it up to questions now. So if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and submit those to the questions box you see on the right. And the first one we have is about, and I think you guys probably get this question a lot, but about an advertiser who's running their own paid search campaigns. How can they work with Wickfire? Or how can Wickfire work with them in conjunction with the campaigns that they're currently running?
Sure, I'll jump in. This is Katie Carmichael. So I think kind of the biggest difference that Katie Atlas touched on is that we do all of our paid search marketing on a performance basis. And so we absorb all of the paid search costs ourselves and only get paid when we actually drive a sale to your site. And so, it can be expensive and time consuming to get your own paid search campaign up and running if you don't have, a big in-house SEM team or you're not working with a, digital agency that's managing it for you. So kind of the startup costs plus the continuous optimization around your keyword bidding can take a lot of time. And so, you don't lose any money on sort of the trial and error process of trying to figure out effective keyword bidding strategies if you run it through us. And our bidding optimization software handles a lot of the heavy lifting. And we also have an SEM team that can kind of fine-tune campaigns, adjust ad copy, make manual changes, where they're needed. And so, typically we'll do, it'll be kind of one or the other. Like we can sort of manage paid search for you. There are instances where we run alongside your own efforts. Like if you're only running a campaign in Google, we can launch a complementary campaign in Bing or vice versa. Typically, if you already have kind of all of your brand and product terms covered, we wouldn't necessarily launch a competing direct search campaign, but we could run alongside you with a brand plus coupon campaign that would point to a merchant page on the Coupon Co. Or if there's an opportunity to feature you on highlight reviews, we could work through one of our other channels that would kind of be alongside your own in-house efforts.
Okay, thanks. Helpful. We got a couple of questions about a copy of the webinar and some people who are interested in partnering with Wickfire, so I just want to let everyone know that we will be sending a follow-up. You'll receive a copy of the video of the webinar, and the Wickfire team will also be following up. So if you have an interest in partnership there, Katie will be happy to discuss with you. Well, I have a question. I'm curious to know on the, I think it was called the product lander page on highlight reviews, do you guys require a product feed to get those products and the product details? Is there a product feed required for any of that?
No, it's not. And actually, that's a really good question. So the way that we've built out that page right now is it's only featuring it's a good fit for someone that might offer kind of a couple of products. It probably would not be a great fit without some customization for, for an e-commerce store that has thousands of products, right? Because we really focus on kind of doing a deep dive into a couple of really good options on the product side. That being said, if you have different categories of products on your site, that's something that we could very easily sort of focus on and build a page around. But no, absolutely not. A product feed is not a requirement. Although we are excited when merchants offer them because that's a place that we're always kind of in the future looking to explore.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, let's see if anyone else has any other questions. I think you guys are pretty thorough. Not a ton of questions in here, mostly just people asking for a copy and how to connect with you guys. So what we'll do is, unless any other questions pop up in the meantime, we'll send a follow-up to everyone, again, who joined, and make sure everybody has contact information for the Wickfire team. You should expect to receive the follow-up, I would say, by tomorrow at the very latest. And I think that's it. I don't see any other questions. Katie, is there anything else that you guys would like to add?
No, nothing from me. Thank you guys so much. And definitely be in touch if anyone has any follow-up questions or if you'd like to get started.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much. I think this was very helpful. And we'll be reaching out to everyone who attended very shortly. So thanks, everyone, for attending. And hopefully we'll see you on the next edition of our webinar series. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.